In the not-so-distant future, the Harbinger Corporation boasts an innovative robot factory where the cyborg Mills supervises the latest models. During her duties, a vital mental message arrives. The Harbinger I Training Facility has unearthed anomalies in the S.A.R. model. Mills hastily reports a reprogram count of 1.5 million in a single day to her boss, who merely offers congratulations. Meanwhile, at a military base, Captain Bukes begrudgingly discovers he and his team are bound for a remote island for a 2-day training exercise. Suspicion arises as Mills insists on accompanying them, tasked with hardware checks. On the plane, Mills scans her team and detects tech implants in Robinson's eyes. As he aims his rifle at Mills, declaring her presence, she effortlessly disarms the weapon with a mere glance, teasing that she could even fire it from a distance. Approaching their destination, Captain Bukes cautions the team about surveillance, prompting Mills to switch to a local network after losing access to the global one. Upon reaching the training facility, they discover it eerily deserted, pondering who should be monitoring them. Departing on the plane, Mills questions Bukes about ground support or recon, receiving a negative response. While navigating a facility corridor, the team emerges in a forest. Mills spots an unidentified drone in the trees but stays silent. Upon finding the training area and taking positions, they are abruptly encircled by enigmatic surveillance drones. Drifter readies his weapon, but Mills intervenes, revealing these drones' quantum modifications, devoid of operators. The drones observe the team briefly, yet take no action. Captain Bukes commands them to continue. They soon locate their targets, basic robots, which disappoint them. A rapid attack plan is devised, and they fan out, unleashing a barrage of weapons while the drones meticulously record their tactics. In a matter of moments, the targets lay in ruins. Meanwhile, Mills tails a drone and stumbles upon an S.A.R. Her attempts to access it prove futile, and to her horror, the S.A.R. reveals a bloodied head. Mills closes her eyes, witnessing the unit's training program footage, S.A.R. ruthlessly shooting people in the face. When she reopens her eyes, the S.A.R. vanishes, prompting Mills to return to the team. That evening, they set up camp, taking a break and discussing Mills, who sits alone, scrutinizing the gathered information. Drifter inquires about their non-functional radios, and Mills, unable to access the global network, confirms a transmission block. He also questions Mills about her chip, prompting her to recount her childhood paralysis and how Harbinger sponsored her cure. Drifter relays the information to Bukes, deepening his skepticism about the expedition. As night falls, Mills observes numerous drones in the forest. Later, as she sleeps, disturbing S.A.R. footage continues to play in her mind. In the interim, Loftus stands guard when a drone approaches. He rebuffs it, but it signals the arrival of S.A.R. Loftus, opens fire in self-defense. In the camp, Mills awakens to the team's heated arguments about strange noises and Goodwin's claim of Loftus vanishing. The team delves into the forest in search of Loftus, finally discovering bloodstains on the grass by morning. Following this grim clue, they stumble upon Loftus's lifeless body resting against a tree. As they assume a defensive stance, Mills examines the area and realizes they've unwittingly returned to their target's previous location. A drone briefly observes them before departing, but an abrupt gunshot claims one of their soldiers. A group of robots emerges, mirroring the team's prior positions, and opens fire. The team hastily seeks refuge behind trees, avoiding injuries. They deploy smoke grenades to escape under the shroud of fog. Robots resume firing, and Bukes flanks them but fails to inflict damage, prompting their retreat. Meanwhile, a soldier unintentionally becomes separated from the group, fending off 3 drones with gunshots. Tragically, S.A.R. intervenes, hoisting him to another robot to administer the fatal blow. Returning to the team, Bukes emphasizes that the robots he observed are notably more advanced than those encountered yesterday. He instructs Mills to deactivate them, but she confesses she can't due to a programming error, currently exploring potential solutions. Bukes doubts her explanation, arguing that errors are not usually this efficient. Robinson returns from searching for their missing soldier, only recovering his helmet. The team decides to resume their search. While traversing the forest, Bukes dwells on why the robots spared them instead of killing them all, pondering if it's linked to Mills's presence. Their conversation is interrupted as they stumble upon a cluster of dead animals used as target practice by the robots, realizing Loftus suffered the same fate. Suddenly, the robots reappear on a ridge, unleashing gunfire, prompting the team to flee urgently. Mills narrowly avoids getting shot, thanks to Bukes pushing her to safety, causing them to tumble down the hill and away from the group. Mills collides with a tree, losing consciousness instantly. Drifter, Goodwin, and Robinson attempt to contact her in vain, deciding to press forward. In the evening, Bukes carries Mills to the facility entrance and finally reconnects with the others, who have returned to camp. They wish to join him, but Bukes advises against it due to the perilous darkness, agreeing to regroup in the morning instead. A drone briefly observes Bukes before departing. Anxious Bukes shields Mills as S.A.R. draws near, but the robot activates something that briefly rouses Mills, hinting at an exchange of information before departing. The next morning, Mills awakens, and Bukes recounts the previous night's events. Mills insists they must locate that S.A.R., but struggles to articulate why. Bukes instructs her to find a compelling reason, and they depart to rendezvous with the others. Everyone is unharmed, and Drifter explains the surprising absence of tracking by the robots, despite their capability to do so. Once Mills ensures the path is clear and all signals are behind them, the team opts to return to the drop point, awaiting transport. Mills is the sole person able to unlock the facility door, so Bukes accompanies her on the road while the others offer cover from the forest. They reach the door swiftly, but as Mills works on hacking the lock, drones arrive, deploying smoke grenades mimicking the team's strategy. At that moment, robots emerge from the forest, opening fire. The soldiers attempt to flee, resulting in Drifter sustaining a leg wound. While the trio seeks shelter from the intense gunfire, Mills successfully opens the door. Bukes resolves to rescue his team, having Goodwin and Robinson run ahead, while Drifter stays to provide cover. Tragically, Drifter is shot once more, just before S.A.R. arrives, pinning him down. Bukes struggles to fend off the robots, but to no avail. When Mills realizes the dire situation, she rushes towards them, prompting the robots to cease shooting upon her arrival. Mills makes an attempt to deactivate the robots, but her efforts prove futile, and S.A.R. unveils a menacing tool to dissect Drifter. Mills pleads for the team not to shoot, insisting she can resolve the situation. However, when her progress stalls, Bukes makes the painful decision to shoot Drifter to spare him from S.A.R.'s torment. As the robots remove Drifter's body, the team finally gains entry to the facility. Mills lashes out at Bukes, suddenly confessing her role in creating these robots. The island usually serves as a marine training ground, and Mills acknowledges that Bukes' team was requested, though she remains ignorant of the reasons. Her robot prototypes are typically tested here, but the codes have evolved far beyond her expectations. These robots are designed to replace human soldiers, learning and self-improving like humans. Bukes is incensed, blaming Mills for his team's demise. At that moment, they notice the robots slowly breaching the front door, compelling them to seek a more secure defensive position. Mills opens a door to another room, and as the lights come on, they are horrified to find an entire army of S.A.R. robots. Fortunately, the robots remain deactivated, allowing Mills to open another door. They enter a room, where they discover the lifeless bodies of facility employees. Mills attempts to connect to the computer but remains unable to establish communication with the outside world. Bukes initiates a plan to impede the robots from this location. Suddenly, Mills departs, securing the door behind her to prevent the soldiers from following her as she returns to the room housing the S.A.R. units. She reawakens one of the robots and activates its speech program to pose inquiries. The robot's directives involve running the human combat program, and Mills's efforts to terminate these commands prove futile. The S.A.R. clarifies that it cannot comply because the training subjects are underperforming and require new, more motivated targets. It proceeds to scan Mills while confirming their program attracted the Marines, with training completion remaining unspecified. Enraged, Mills attempts to access the code once more, but fails. The S.A.R. initiates the activation of other robots just as the ones outside finally breach the door and enter. Mills momentarily despairs, but the soldiers manage to force the door open as well, pulling her inside and sealing it behind them. The robots commence efforts to cut through this door too, prompting Bukes to finish setting up explosives as the team begins to flee. Unfortunately, the robots reach the team and trigger the explosives, causing an explosion that affects them all. Mills also experiences an electromagnetic disturbance, realizing the robots carry EMP grenades. Thankfully, the team escapes and discovers a city simulation training area filled with abandoned equipment and the bodies of prior Marine units. While the soldiers scavenge weaponry, Mills retrieves an EMP grenade from a fallen robot. She then watches the footage S.A.R. captured of her teammates' demise, overcome with guilt. Armed and ready, the soldiers disperse, preparing to confront the robots. Bukes checks on Mills, who explains that the grenade should deactivate the S.A.R., while targeting the leader could halt the other units, but it has a limited range, necessitating a detonator. Mills reveals that they haven't been killed because the robots purposely expelled them to provide additional training. Bukes expresses concerns that the grenade might harm Mills, but she underscores it as their sole recourse. The team remains vigilant through the night, awaiting an attack, but the robots only appear in the morning. While Goodwin conceals himself with the detonators for the road bombs, Bukes opens fire from behind a car, and Robinson fires from a rooftop position. Mills watches the streets with her scanners, guiding Goodwin to activate the initial bombs, decimating many enemies. Robinson abandons his rooftop position to fire from behind a window, narrowly avoiding an approaching S.A.R. near Bukes, the explosion saving him. A drone locates Goodwin, forcing him to flee before the robots find him. Robinson provides cover for Bukes as he rushes to aid Goodwin, drawing the robots' attention and resulting in Robinson's tragic death. Bukes and Goodwin discover a temporary haven, but realize the last detonator was dropped on the street. Bukes braves the gunfire to retrieve it when Mills joins him, temporarily halting the assault. The pair lures the robots towards the grenade's location. A robot shoots Mills in the shoulder, but she activates the EMP grenade, incapacitating all the robots, albeit leaving Mills alive but malfunctioning. Regrettably, S.A.R. recovers and pursues them, prompting Bukes to usher Mills inside a building. Once she regains mobility, Bukes instructs her to escape, while he remains on the stairs, trading fire with S.A.R. Mills crawls to find Robinson's body, and Bukes runs out of ammunition as S.A.R. hurls him into the room. However, S.A.R. refrains from killing Bukes, still requiring more data to complete its program, and instead targets Mills. The robot looms over her, demanding identification, but Mills patiently waits for the opportune moment before responding with "human" and remotely firing Robinson's rifle. A wounded S.A.R. collapses, connecting to Mills's eyes to download data before finally deactivating as Mills powers down as well. Moments later, a plane arrives to collect Bukes, Goodwin, and Mills. As they prepare to board, Mills's eyes flutter open, revealing that S.A.R.'s mission protocol now resides within her.